Hi, it's Lyle from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. Today I am going to show you how to nail down a steampunk look just using junk and bits and pieces that you have in your home. Okay, so first things first, I'm back in the stable. So this is me back in here until November if I'm feeling, cold. So what is today? Today isn't quite just furniture. It's more of a sort of craft / furniture. Today's theme is going to be steampunk. Steampunk isn't it isn't true. It's been made up. What are the sort of? It's all kind of around the industrial revolution, steam engines, mechanical cogs, and then there's the costumes where they wear goggles with wings, and the women wear corsets and top hats, and that's a Victorian sort of thing, but it's made up. So it's your own interpretation of what you want to do. Now, what am I doing? This is what I'm going to start with. It is an old file box. What can I say about it, really? It is what it is. It needs a good clean. I'll be taking these handles off and putting other handles on, but I'm keeping the metal on here. And I'm not quite sure whether these are going to come off. We will know in the next part whether these are off or on. What is it I'm doing? This is a very, very, very special commission, but it's also a very special commission in a hurry. My daughter asked me to make her husband a 40th birthday gift, and his birthday is on Friday. Today is Thursday. Yes, it's tomorrow. I've been telling her I'm on it, and I'm not on it. So today I'm going to be on it. But there's not a huge amount of painting in this. It's mostly going to take form with decoupage. Now, what kind of things do you need to do this? I'm just going to run through these things first. So I have printed myself off and made my own kind of steampunky things. Now, there's two genres going on here for me, which is kind of blowing my mind. Yes, as if he wasn't geeky enough, he also likes Dungeons and Dragons. And this is to keep his Dungeons and Dragons equipment and dice and things in it. So I could have went the Dungeons and Dragons route, which I know nothing of, or I could have done the steampunk, and I know a little bit more because he loves steampunk things. And whenever I do a steampunk piece, he loves it. So I opted for the safer option. We've got feet for this, which will go on soon. So I've done a big J because that's his initial. I put that together. I've got some crows because he always enjoys something with a bit of crows. Got a couple of crows actually. Got a clock with some birds, and again his initial, and a map. Right now there's going to be some stenciling over it, and I have this, and I think I'll do some raised bead gel stenciling. Will that be dry for tomorrow? Oh, who knows? I'll take it over to the house if not. Right, so raised bead stenciling. I also have, now don't tell me nobody's done this. When you are pouring resin molds, you set some molds to the side and you do the over pour into the molds. Well, this is just some of the over pour stuff that I have. So I'm going to have a little rummage through this nearer the time and see what we can find that might work on a sort of steampunky sort of kind of way. I found this piece of paper in my drawer. That might work. In here, I've got my overspill of, my kind of like sort of transfers that are all the little bits. These are all in here, and we might find something in here. So it's going to be quite mixed media. And I got Martin to take me apart 2 clocks. They were just the mechanisms. The clocks were broken. They were vintage, so we've got these. This came out of the other box actually, but these were the parts that he's managed to scrounge me up. I put some handles, some old sort of rusty handles, because we're going to go in with the rusty and the gold. This I have other things. That's where that big one came from out of this box. This is actually a redesign by Prima Mold, which I've done previously. And these are steampunk cogs. So I've got those which were a kind of overspill from another project. I don't know what these kind of things are, but we can maybe make them work. I've got those. I mean, if you haven't got old clocks, You can get these kind of things, and probably in a bigger size. I got these, I'm not sure, probably Amazon or eBay. These are more little clogs. There's some creepy hands. These are for jewellery, but we might add some of those in. I have a clock surround that might work. Edges. And the last thing I have is some broken swimming goggles. Let's see if we can make those work. More ornate handles. I've got quite a lot of this edging. I was doing a piece once before and I did this edging and decided that I liked another mould differently, and I'd already cast quite a few of these, so I've got quite a lot of this. I've got some metal sheeting, I don't know what that's for, and more moulds and more bits and pieces. So you get the general thrust. You're going to probably need some Mod Podge to glue down your paper. So it doesn't, I know I've designed modern paper, but you could just get like an old map, coffee stain it. You could buy decoupage paper. You could get old brown wrapping paper and stamp on it. There's many ways you can do this. Really, to be honest with you, the paper is the least of it. It's the elements that are going to make it all come to life. I'm also going to put some typeset lettering on it. Yes, last night I did research words that are used in the steampunk world, which was much more not as entertaining as words that are used in the game in the Dungeons and Dragons world, because that really made me giggle. But I thought, I can't put some of these things on box. I just can't do it. So hopefully we'll be able to make my son-in-law something really swanky today for tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Let's get on with it. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to get Martin to take these two handles off. Martin, do you think this is going to work? Do you think that I'm going to be able to pull off a steampunk thing?
Yeah.
I might take these off.
Set a clock and the 2 hour challenge or something. What can you make in 2
hours?
Oh,
it's not going to be it's going to take all day, and it might go into tomorrow as well. The thing is, I've got the live.
I made this in 5 minutes.
I've got the channel live tonight as well at 8 o'clock, so I can't run past 8 o'clock. So, because I'm back in the stable, my piece for the channel live is still over in the house, and it needs brought over, and it is pouring with rain. We couldn't have picked a worse day to be back in the stable. I've already got leaky drips. Already. Anyway, I'll get on and clean this, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so with all Made by Marley decoupage papers, you need to decide what you're going to do. If it's a drawer front, which I'll show you in a minute, you can cut with scissors. But if you're going to be blending up beside it, it is best applied ripped at the sides, just so that you can blend those edges a lot easier. So all I'm doing is just ripping these off. Like this, the one with his initial is going to go on the top. So let's start with this crow. I'm going to put this crow sort of about here, I think. I've got my Mod Podge here. This is a new one. Woohoo! Now, with new ones, I'm more apt to spill them everywhere, and I don't want to spill them all over my nice new rug. Well, it's not new, but it's new to the studio, and I don't want to spill it all over my new painted floor. So I haven't done anything with the floor. I said to myself, when I do work, I'll cover it all up. I haven't. Right. There isn't going to be huge amounts of paint being thrown about on this one, though. So, as I said, it's a cross between a craft project and a piece of furniture. Now, for those in the Made by Marley decoupage group, I want you to watch what I'm doing. There seems to be a thing about, I've read all sorts of things, irons, syringes, all sorts of things to apply the decoupage paper. I did so much testing. I know exactly how it goes on and how it will react. Now there's a little, that's a little divot in the wood. It's not a lump, because that's one of the things that will give you wrinkles and bubbles is lumps. You can see how I've applied it. I've smoothed it all out. And although this isn't a Made by Marley design, it's Made by Marley paper. It's as it is Made by Marley decoupage paper. So now once you get your position, smooth it down with your hand, just like that. Get a soft cloth and make sure that there are no wrinkles in it. Now, because Mod Podge is water-based, it's going to throw up some bubbles and wrinkles because it's got to dry. So, at this stage, when you keep seeing bubbles come up, don't keep rubbing them. This is all you should need to have to do. And I am going to show you this when I come back. And it will be so smooth. And that is all I have done. I haven't ironed it, haven't steamed it, didn't need a syringe, haven't done anything other than apply the paper. And now I'm going to leave it alone. So that is what I'm going to be doing on this side. What am I going to be doing on these drawers? I'll just pull them out a bit. And this little piece that I'm working on today, it's got a funny little history. We went to pick up a piece of furniture from a house, and the woman said to Martin, this was in our work, in a shed, it was damp, and she was throwing it out. And she said, do you want this? Now, at the time, it was so damp and so falling apart, it needed to dry out. So we brought it into the house and we cleaned it up. And then what happened was, in the spare room in our house, it was like a little bedside table, but I sat it upside that way with the handles at the top and just kind of positioned the lamp in between it. It was a little bit of objet d'art and I enjoyed it. But when I was asked to do this task, this commission, I thought, what have I got that I can use? And I thought, I've got that, because I really kept thinking I must put a nicer little table in there than what I currently had. So and this did need a bit of a glow up. So I thought, oh well, I'll sacrifice this to the commission gods.
It was unbelievably
Ruined.
damp and ruined when I was getting it. Was just junk.
I actually pondered throwing it out.
I could see it. I could see the quality of it. It's old. All the hardware has been stamped with something.
I mean, it's been put together by Martin, but it was so warped and damaged. This is his best. This side here is as best as we could get it. But you know what? It's going to be absolutely perfect.
But it's all dried out perfectly. And the drawers slide in and out perfectly.
I mean, we couldn't even get the drawers open. And Martin at the time, we were both saying, oh, you know, we should just bin it. But we thought, well, you know, it'll dry. We put it away in a cupboard, actually, didn't we?
Yeah.
We put it in the whole cupboard and just left it there for months. And then I found it again and went, oh, look, there's this.
It's probably had it. I mean, it's more than a year, isn't it?
Oh, it's been more than it's been in the bedroom for even more than a year. It was.
So it's maybe been drying out for 2 years now.
Yeah. No signs of woodworm. It's you know. So this is what I've done with the drawers now. The drawers have been cut. They haven't been ripped. Pop that in there. I've left bits around here because obviously I'm going to be adding paint to this. I'm going to put my other side drawer on. I'm going to put my large J, because I'm not going to get you keep watching this. My large J for the lovely Johnny on the top, kind of central. And I'm going to just glue some of this birdie one on this side here. So when you come back, all the sort of gluey parts will be done. Okay? So my paper's applied and it is smooth.
Like butter.
Now, I'm going to be painting the base coat of this before I put all the other colours in, Athenian black. So, I mean, this is going to be a little bit boring, but I'll just start off by showing you the surrounding area is going to be black. I might keep round the front, this area here, black. Now, why have I got it on my twirly stool right now? It just makes it easier to work for. These are going to be the lovely legs that are going to go onto the piece. Once I've got the majority of the painting work done. Once the painting work's done, we'll get it onto its feet. I'll get Martin to get it onto its feet and then we'll start embellishing it. I know my golden rule is do not apply things over decoupage paper, but for this instance, I'm breaking my rules. I'm going to make sure they're glued down appropriately and I'm going to seal it in everything. You know, it's all good. Right, so I'm going to get on. I'm just using a small brush for up round here. And obviously, I'm just going to bring my drawer out just slightly and just do along here, just because we're going to be blending to this edge. So just like this, but we'll be putting lighter tones over the top of it. But I just want it all black first, really. Now, the top, I just put the J not quite in the centre. I kind of moved it back a bit because I'm not sure what's going to go across here. On this side, obviously I put the crow. and on this side I put 3 different elements, because all these in here you're going to have to change brushes for this one, and you're going to have to blend in with a better brush that's going to get rid of your sort of, well, it's going to be a base to kind of get round these edges, and you need this kind of brush to do this. So I'm going to do that on the sides. Yeah, we'll take it in with a smaller brush near where we get. So it's just so you know what I'm doing. I'm just going to paint it all in black now. So I'll go and do that, and then we'll come back and we'll start putting some of the beiges, the creams, the browns on it. And then once we've done all that, we'll get it on its feet and we'll start embellishing it. I've no idea what time it is, but time is marching on. Okay, so this is a wee bit more complicated than usual, because there's a whole load of layers, and I'm trying to, in my head, preempt what layer is going to be next. But I think what I'm going to do with the front, and it's just not what I would normally do, is I'm going to get Martin to put the little card holders back on and handles onto the front, because I want to put a whole load of molds and cogs on it, and without those being situated, I can't proceed with the front. There isn't going to be, I can still paint round those, so it's not going to be okay, and I can still seal round those, because I will be wanting to seal these rusty handles as well. I want them rusty. I've brushed them down, but they will need a sealer on them, a spray sealer anyway, so if they're on the piece, that's okay. I feel like I'm breaking every single rule that I've ever told you, but hey ho, this is more of, let's just say this is more of a craft project than a piece of furniture. So these are going to go on the front. So I'll just kind of talk through where Martin's going to put them. He's going to put 2 here and 2 here, and he's going to put me a couple of, remember, it's all out of your imagination, so it can be a little bit weird looking. So I'm going to have something like this, and the opposite way, something like that here on there. I don't think there's anything else that I want. I might get him to screw one of these panels, because I quite like this, on the side. Can you see when I did my paint, I left some of the wood exposed? I thought that brown, although we're going to be doing some blending out with the cream, and we're going to be doing some stenciling, I think I'm going to put all the parts on first. So I left the brown underneath because I quite liked it, but I think I'm going to get them to put one of these, screw something like that on here. I've got 2 of them. This one's even more interesting. I might get them to put one here, and I'll get them to put this really interesting one maybe here. And I have this, which I'd like him to screw up in top here. And I think pretty much the rest, I might get him to, Martin, you don't even know about any of these things yet, I'm just running with it. I might get Martin to drill a hole here and so I can put glue on the end of here and put this in here like it's some sort of wind up measurement. Would that be able to do, Martin?
I can do that.
I'm just volunteering you for all of these things. So if that was in there, that would be some sort of kind of mechanism. And there was a couple of other things that I thought, I'm just going to get all Martin's parts now done. I think that is pretty much the rest, all the cogs and everything. Then what we're going to do is, once those are on, we'll come back and we'll start to, I think, to break this down, because there is so much going to be going on this piece is, I think I'll start with the front, and we'll just only work on the front. And I won't try and do lots of different bits with the sides. I think there's too much to work out. So I'll be back in a minute when Martin has screwed all of these things on for me. Okay, so this is it so far. I've got Martin to screw these back on and put these handles. I didn't put 2. Now, I've ordered a sort of gauge there, so I'm going to not fill this space here. These went on with ordinary screws, so we need to make those look rusty and crusty, and we'll get back to those. But the first thing we need to do before we can paint this is put our corners on. These came off. This was a clock. Ignore the blob of glue. It was a clock. That's where the clock face came from, and I've got clock hands and things, but these were the ornate parts around here. So I'm just going to glue these onto the corners. So I've got my no nails really strong glue, and I'm going to make sure that I have to put it on it quite thick because it's slightly raised. So I'm just using an old paintbrush that I'm happy to sacrifice. So I'll be putting these on every corner. I'll put it on and I'll do the cleanup once it's on. Making sure that I push that all down. I'm just going to get a brush for cleanup. I've got a new handy dandy trolley, which makes things so much easier for me. So all my brushes and everything are all beside me, which is great.
I'll show them.
Show them the trolley, Martin. Show them the trolley of joy.
Look at that.
The channel members have already seen this, the new
all the paint, all the brushes and tools.
But yeah, that should make life much easier. I'm trying to make things a bit more streamlined. So you get the drill. I'm going to be sticking these on the 4 corners. Now, because I'm trying to avoid this space here, but I still want, so I'm going to go in first of all with the molds. So I know what I'm always saying, don't put molds over decoupage paper, but I'm taking this as more as a sort of a small as opposed to, now I'll come back and I'll get all the glue out of the middle of these wheels and cogs in a minute. I just want to get them on. I must have cast them for something because I already had them in that little box that had the steampunk stuff. So I thought, I'll just use those, and I've got quite a few of them. So I'm going to put these ones up here, making sure that I've got enough glue on it. And that is the secret. You really need a lot of glue. I think I'll go here with that one. Now, I'm just going to do a bit of cleanup in these gaps. I'll do the rest of the cleanup off camera. I don't want all this nasty glue and stuff in there. Look at my brush. Right, okay, I'll get some cotton buds out my drawer. That's, I think, the best thing to clean these out. But we'll get to those in 1 minute. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I have got the lovely Martin. Now I'm managing to get glue over the front of here. Just reach out and get a brush from a trolley. Now, make sure I've not got glue in my hands for this. I'm looking for cogs, any sort of of the cogs that are flat. So I want to put something like this here, and maybe a black one here, because Martin has drilled me a hole, and I'm going to put this one in here with this cog that fits through here onto here, so that this outside cog moves. But let's just kind of study this positioning first, because this is where I want to put these ones underneath it. So let's just kind of do that first. I'm going to need some more glue. This is a really strange way for me to work all this out, because I still haven't painted it really, but I just need to have all my bits on first. So, and I just don't want you to miss what I'm doing. So these were all off of old vintage clocks that were broken and were going in the bin, and I've used the carcass for other things. And so that the whole part of the old clock was used, I kept, as you do. Now, that's not how I just said I was going to do it. I know there's going to be a heck of a lot of cleanup. We'll get to that in a minute. I think this one here just needs it around the edges because it's got a bit of a dip. What are you laughing at, my mess?
Because you said this one just needs it around the edges because it's got a bit of a dip.
I know, and then just
did everything.
And then just everything. I know. I'm always really worried when I do things like this. I just don't think you should be putting things like this over decoupage paper. I just don't. But I think it will be secure enough when it's done. I'm picking up all sorts of hairs and things.
Seal the hell out of it.
Yeah, I'm going to and make sure that this is all glued down. So I want them to look like they're all working each other. So I need one small one. So we'll maybe put this one here. Do you know, I'm getting giddy now. I'm going to do one more. Oh, look at this one. This one here looks really fancy. We'll put it here. Like that, because I'm conscious that I need to get to the cleanup. So that's working. Those ones, I think. I'm just going to get some water and I'm going to try and clean this up before I stick my last cog on. Now, This as well will help its adhesion because I'm rubbing it all into all of the... This is clear. It's not my usual white. The pound shop that I used to get my glue from has closed down. Martin and I went to it one night and we were confused, Martin, weren't we?
We're right. Hang on a second, are we on the wrong side of the street or
Where
something?
is it? And it just wasn't there, and we hadn't even heard it had closed down. So there you go. Just you think in the sort of climate of, you know, it would be open, but no. Right, I'll keep on cleaning these off camera. You get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that I'm not touching the glue underneath, so it's had good adhesion, and I'm just going to clean all those off. But once those are cleaned off, I'm going to put a little dollop, just a tiny little bit on here. The hole is quite tight, so it's not like it's going to come back out. And Martin has said we'll give it a little tap with a hammer. But
I drilled it so it was snug as opposed to...
I think I've managed to make a mess and get glue in behind there as well.
You can always, woodworking 101, you can always take away more wood, but you can't put it back.
No, you're right. So I think I'm kind of liking the look of this. I'm not going to put any more on there. I'm going to put some more of these cogs maybe round about, put my corners on, and then we'll get to painting this side, okay? So I'll go and do a wee bit more. You understand, I've got like moulds here. Now, these were in my stash, but they're kind of broken. But I thought, it's steampunk. If I do this and then I kind of get some of these and I glue it to them, then that will be the vibe. So, but I mean, I'm running out of room if I want to put my gauge up there. And I'm wondering whether I can maybe just do this. I think that's going to leave me enough room for my gauge here. I think it's about this size. It's a badge that I can take the pin off and glue on. It's from my son-in-law, so it's a bit of nonsense. So I'm going to get on, glue some of these together, and then we'll come back and we'll paint it. This is the general layout. Obviously, the moulds have to be painted, and we're going to do those in a sort of brown, rusty, goldy finish. So we know that that's still got to be done, but things are too wet to do it anymore on this side. My little meter came. I can't read all the writing on it, Martin, but it's a splendidness meter.
Yeah, try and focus on it. There we go.
Because he's quite splendid. And so it was a badge. I got Martin to take the back off of it. And what I'm going to do now, because I've put this IOD frame on it, but obviously it's going to sit prouder than that. So what I've done is I've made a little coil of clay. I've put glue on it on one side, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue here on this side, and we'll stick the splendidness meter and squeeze that down here, and then I'll get a clay tool and I'll clean up round about this edge here. There's a lot of cleanup and a lot of doing on this one. A lot of problem solving as well. I don't want glue on my splendid meter. Hang on. Yeah, but I'll come in with a clay tool, a sharp clay tool, and I'll just get that all cleaned up. Right, so I'm not going to worry anymore about this just now. This has got to dry. I'm obviously going to have to paint this clay damp, but once it's done, I'm going to have to take it over to the house anyway, so it should be golden. I just want to make sure that it's a good one. I think if I had the same sort of over on both, I would put a sort of pattern in there and make it like gold leaf it. Right, I think I might just
do it.
Yeah, but I kind of need to squeeze it a bit more on this side, Martin. Right, I'll see what I can do off camera with this. I just don't want to get any glue on my splendid meter. Right, okay, that was a whole load of filming just for this. Now, while this is all drying, I'm going to start blending on here. So what have we got? I've got a little bit of cocoa on the mix mat here, a little bit of hornflower, which is brown cocoa, is a sort of light brown. I'll put a little black on there, a little bit of yellow, And I'm going to put a little bit of this brown acrylic over here. Don't need that just yet, but so I'm going to go in for, where was my white? I didn't pick that out.
It's handily just here somewhere.
It is, I think, there it is. So I'm just going to stick some of that there. Now, I do have a blending brush because I got it out. Now, let's start with the white. Now, obviously we know that it's not the right colour, but this is the thing with blending. Now, I quite like the sage, so let's just kind of try and recreate that. Let's not have anything too sharp down the bottom. It is important we go back over this join again, though, remember, because we're trying to blend it away. I don't know what that is, just a lumpy bit in the wood. Now, a little bit of tiny little bit of brown, let's start introducing that. But you can see that is not the right colour of brown, so you need to dip a little bit in the yellow. Round and round we go. And this is the thing about blending it all out. You can make it a little bit darker around here because we're kind of feeding it into here, into the almost grey. So let's just bring that down here. I quite like that there. A little bit darker along here. And you're just going to blend it until your crow looks happy. Well, he's never going to look exactly happy, but you know what I mean. He's going to look happy-ish when he's on his background. Do you know what the joy of my trolley is? I can just grab another blending brush. See, it's like a plan. I've got some yellow and I've got some white on here, so let's just get this. I don't know what these. Now, you're not going to want to watch me do this whole thing, but it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a bit of a hot minute to blend this. Once I've got all the paint done on all the sides, it's going to be quite good because then I can put the feet on it and start working it. I just didn't want to have a whole load of kind of paint on it because I don't want to get paint on my nice new legs. I have painted the back as well of this. It's not something I generally do, but it was in such bad... The back was in the poorest condition, which was good that it was the back. A little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of this. Sorry, I'm just kind of... But you get the picture.
It's starting to look very cool.
I'm going to blend in and smooth out all of my edges and get these looking just the way I want them. And I'll do this the other side as well. Where this is here, I'll blend in here as well so that we've got the both sides blended. And this will be drying. We're not going to go on, we're not going to jump onto the top right now. We're just going to concentrate on the blending. Okay. Okay, so the camera died, but all I had done was this, which was actually, it was the silver clock face, the really awful ugly one that I just swept some Annie Sloan chalk paint over. It just shows you Annie Sloan will cover everything, and it was watered down as well. But I'm going to come back and put a rust finish on this. Why have I put the clock face there? Because I asked Martin to glue some things together with me with a 2-part epoxy resin. One is the glue and the other one is the accelerator fixative. So he's glued these together and he's going to drill me a wee hole so that the clock hands can go in here. So that's that. Now, at the beginning I mentioned the swimming goggles. I took them apart, but to have flat surfaces, because this is what I mean about novelty furniture, you can't just put something on it like this and hope that it'll stay on, because it will just fall apart. So you really have to think, this piece has actually made, there's been so many problem solving episodes already. So I turned the glasses the other way around, but then the plastic things didn't fit, so I had to cut them, and then Martin glued them into there, and we've glued a metal bracket across here like this so that there's a flat surface when I put the goggles down. Now, I know they don't look like steampunk goggles right now. They look like swimming glasses the wrong way around, but hopefully we will work that out. I need to find a position for these, and I think probably, oh, there's a fly on top of there. I think I'm going to put them here. So again, I'm using the like all-purpose, the heavy-duty glue that I use for my molds. I'm not worried that you can see the glue through the glass because I'm going to be painting these. These are all going to be painted. Every single thing is going to be painted, so I'm not too worried. I just need to get all of the parts down securely, which is more important to me right now than the painting. So there we are. We've got our swimming goggles, check. Now in a minute, what I'm going to do is, now where was it? I've got so many different little pieces and parts here. I'm going to get Martin to, can't find it right now. Is it this one? I'm going to get Martin to glue. No, it wasn't this one. I had a longer one. There is another cog somewhere on the floor. I'm probably standing on it. Can't find it right now. But there's another cog what I'm going to put in the middle here. And these sorts, this was, do you know what this was? It was, you know, when you make resin jewellery and you get the moulds and it's got the little hole that you can string them up and you can put things on them. Well, this was one of those. And I managed to get the cog into there and I glued these on. So this is going to be up round here and this is going to be black, grungy. And in here, I'm going to paint a sort of white silver to make it look like, I know it's the wrong way around, but it's the only way we could do it to make it look that it's going to be, you know, not fall off the furniture. So it's going to be solidly glued up there somewhere. And I'm going to get Martin to attach this, but it's a bigger one than this. I just can't find it right now. Now, on the front, I had these in the corners, but I only ended up putting it on the two corners because I got carried away with my cogs. So what have I done? I've kind of bent this round like this because the steampunk goggles have got like a part that goes round them like this. So can you see that? When you see that from the side, it's going to have an ornate side.
Ooh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, do you get where I'm going with this, Martin?
I do.
Yeah. I'm back in the stable. I'm sitting on my scissors. I didn't sit on them in the house. This is cuttable, so I'm just going to cut this the same way I cut the other one and just kind of bend it like that so that that fits onto there. And we can glue that onto there. So that's going to be glued onto there. That's
very bougie.
And they're going to be painted, and then it's going to have the cogs and stuff around it, and hopefully that will look like steampunk goggles. I don't know if it will, but we'll hope it. We'll hope it does. I'm going to get Martin to screw this onto here, and we will attach some cogs up onto here to make it another sort of plate. Once we've done this on this side, I'm just going to do what I did on the front and just glue random cogs. Let me just show you where we're at with the front. At the front, I've painted them in, and let me just show you with this one here what I did. Now, I've just got a little bit of brown acrylic on my mix mat. I mean, I'm back in the stable. You can see what kind of mess I'm making. I mean, it's getting outrageous, Martin, already. It's spread so far. It's spread. I know. So here, this is actually acrylic. Why? Because the molds are plastic, and I'm not covering them really heavy with a whole load of chalk paint. So this is a brown acrylic first. Now we are going to come back and do a rusty finish. So I just want to get some of this brown on first, up and round here. Yeah. And then I'm going to dip into the orange.
Okay, so of all the times for my microphone to break, it was right then and there. So basically what I'm trying to do is get a full rust finish on all of my moulds, and I'd already done the rest, so I was showing you here. So I started with my brown acrylic, then I added brown chalk paint and orange chalk paint and alternated them with a little bit of water just to kind of give it that sort of, I haven't gone as far as putting the rusty drips on it yet, but I'm kind of building up to that. So along the wood at the front as well, I'm using the Barcelona orange, the Hornflower together, and occasionally just a little bit of black, but mind you, don't add too much black because it ends up making it look awful grey. And you just, with a sort of stipply brush, stipple it on all on your edges, alternating between the dark and the light and the orange, and then that way you've got a sort of beginning for your rusty finish. I do come back later and do some drips, but at the moment all I'm doing is focusing on anywhere where it was black. I'm trying to make it look aged so it starts working with the sides. I'm showing you here that I've done the moulds on this side, and I'm just showing you again the process. So there you can see I've kind of started with some black, I've got the brown, the orange, I'm just kind of blending those together just to give that a sort of grungy sort of age feel. I'm running it down the edges of the mould to make it look like it's dripped. And I'm coming along here to the sides as well, and I'm doing a sort of drips with the Barcelona orange and the Hornflower. I sometimes add water, but in the stable that day wasn't exactly roasting hot and I didn't want to add too much water. I'm rusting up the sides here with again the same mix. You can use a little bit of Arles, which is a lighter orange as well, if you want to put that in your mix. So now I'm going to start painting in the goggles in exactly the same way. We're going to get to them, and I think after that I'm kind of coming up to the point where we managed to realise that our microphones weren't working. So from now on in, it'll be me actually doing it.
So with these square stencils, you've got to kind of watch, because if you get down here, you're only going to get half a shape. So it's probably better kind of bringing it down past, you know, that's okay, but you don't want the halves being here. So you have to kind of work that kind of stuff out. I've got a little bit of brown on my stencil brush, not a huge amount. I don't want to go up there because I'm going to get a straight line again, and I don't particularly want that. Don't mind it being like that in here because we can do something with that in a minute. So I'm not going to do there just now. I can do here and down here probably. But if I kind of do something like this and twist it around here, now on this dark area here, I want to be doing something a bit lighter. So I've got some yellow and some orange here, keeping with the sort of the rusty kind of theme. If it's too orange, we can add some brown. Yeah, it's a little bit orange. Let's add some brown to that as well. Maybe a bit more orange down here. But you see what I'm doing? I'm going to do this on all sides. I'm just going to pick areas that I want to kind of have the stencil on. Oh, that's not good. I can go underneath there. I'm going to have to deal with that. I was going to say a top tip, if you have moulds of resin and you've cast them at a later date and they're bent, they're warped, get your heat tool, put them on. I've got concrete floor, so I put them on concrete floor and heat them up, not until they're squishy, but heat them up until they're soft, and then just kind of flatten them out again and put the glue onto them while they're still quite warm and apply it, and you'll get your mould will stick perfectly. That's just a little side note. Did you like that side note, Matt?
I did.
I'm going to go into the yellow here and put more yellowy tones. I'm not doing the whole background. I'm just doing some of it. I think that's probably enough. Although this side looks like it's going to nothing, so let's just kind of do this last wheel like that. I don't like that. Wait a minute. Oh, my chair's making it roll. Right, let's get up in here done. Same deal. I'm just going to use lots of different colours. So there's the orange. Here's the brown. I don't mind that being that sort of straight edge there beside the bird. I'll come back and then I'll do something up around there. So I'm alternating it with my stencil brush. Just so it's lots of different kind of rusty sort of colours. Yeah. And I maybe what I do. I'll be glad when I can get the feet on this piece because it's not ideal, this twirly sort of stool. Right, so you understand the stencil concept. I'm going to do this round about it, maybe some down here. I'm going to come back in with stamp some words in a minute. Martin's still got to put the clock hands and the plate on the metal on that one. We are kind of, don't know if we maybe want to do something like this down here, but I'm unclear. Let's have a look. If we don't like it, we can go over the top of it. It's not really kind of making much difference at all, really, is it? Kind of faded. I don't dislike it. Let's just do it all. There we go. Quickly run over with it. It's not really doing that much, but it's doing something. Now, I'm waiting for these to dry off a bit because I want to start putting some gold on them. The only side that's looking a little bit, this side here is looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put some stencils on that. Then I'm going to start bringing some of this out of detail, stamp some words on it. I've still got the top to do. In a moment, I'll start blending up to the monogram of the letter of Johnny's name, and we'll see where we're going. But as it stands right now, I'm really liking the front. This is going to come good. It just needs a little bit of work. That's the back, and this here just needs tying together, really. And then I've got the top. So we are getting there. It's just there's an awful lot of problem solving with this one. You just have to put a lot of things together and make it work, and they have to be secure, and you know. So okay, I'll get on and do it. Okay, so this is where we're at. I have put the stencil on the edges, and I've just kind of distressed them. So we've got the cog stencil on this side. That's the back. And Martin has put me the clock hands on here and the plate on here. And I've done some more stencil. And I kind of blotted this a bit out here because for some reason it kind of reminded me of a leopard pattern, and I didn't really like it. And I've ran some black around all of the edges. Right? So that's what's happened so far. Now, the next part is optional, but I'm going to do it. I've got some baking soda here, just to thicken things up a little bit. I'm just going to put a little bit on my mix mat. You don't need much, just a wee bit. You can use kaolin clay for this as well if you want. And I'm just going to mix up a sort of rusty sort of brown to start with. You want it a little bit, yeah, like that. And you're going to add some baking soda to it just to thicken it up. Now, we're going to start with this. Now, anywhere where you think it warrants a little bit of rust, so let's kind of put some here, kind of dribbling down, and then you need some of the oranger, the actual orange by itself. Let's give some of this over the top, and then you can dip back into the brown. And this just takes a little bit of time if you want to make things look. The rust always drips. Sorry, Matty, you've not got a very good angle.
That's right.
You don't want to make everything rusty, but just some of it. A bit browny. And then if you think it's getting too orange, add your brown back in again. And go back to your sort of colour you started with, which is this. Now at this point in time you could add water and it would run down it, but I'm trying to get this done tonight, so I don't want to have masses of drips that I can't. You know, it takes a while to dry, but something like that. Rust always kind of goes around the edges. That's too orangey. So dip in the baking soda if you want it a little bit crustier. That makes it quite crusty. Yeah. You see what I'm doing? I'm just kind of rusting it all up now. Put some on here as well. But I'm going with sort of dark brown on this first before I rust it up. Dark. And then some orange. But you can see what I'm doing. I'm alternating between the Hornflower, which is the brown, Barcelona, which is the orange, and the mix I made out of the Hornflower and Barcelona orange. I've got some yellow here if you want to sort of lighten it up in any way. But you just kind of like touch it with the yellow, but kind of tend to have it a wee bit darker. Baking soda really makes it crusty if you're looking for more of a sort of kind of crusty rust. Crusty rusty. Oh, it's been one of those days. I've just finished off my live, my channel membership live, and now I'm doing this, whereas I should really be stopping, but I'm not. I'm going to put some gold over this as well, but let's just kind of brighten this all up with some of this orange, because I don't think it does any harm. Do you, Martin?
No.
No, no. Quite right. That was just a broken cog I put in that little frame there. I thought that worked.
I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. Now, you can see where this is going now. I'm just going to rust it all up, rust up all the sides, and give it a little bit more of a rusty look, a bit more of a grungy look. And once I've done the rust, we're going to put some stamps on it, and I'm going to make sure I've got really dry areas, and I'm going to put a couple of transfers on it, and then we'll be getting to sealing, and I'll get Martin to pop the feet on it. Next time you see it, it might have its feet on it, but might not. Okay, so I've got Martin to put the feet on, and now I'm going to be adding some touches of gold, because what that'll do is, because it'll complement the little gold parts on the bottom of the feet. And I normally do this with my finger, but today I'm using a brush because I really want to get in all these little parts. I'm not doing them all, just kind of, not everything, just, well, maybe I will. That looks quite good. My handle got flipped up a bit. So I'm going to go around all my detail now with the gold, and then once I've done that, I'm going to get my stamps out. I'm going to stamp. I found some steampunky words, so we'll kind of see if we can stamp some of those on. And I've got my little tiny font as well, and we'll see if we can put some letters in, some words in the little card. I'm just going to stamp them in. Right, okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just adding the gold. I'll go and do that now. Okay, so I've got some numbers here. Just randomly, I'm just going to put these coming down here like this. I'm going to put numbers on this side. I mean, some of my words are, let's just see, flexion, rivet, impulsion, biprism, and distillate. Yeah, okay, it's taken a turn for the worse this week. Next week I'll be back to flowers. Flowers and birds, they're my jam. And colours. But never mind, you have to be able to do all things and meet people's expectations. So hopefully this will be okay. So I'm just going to stamp these down here. So the next thing I'm going to have to do is, I'm pretty much just leaving the top because it's got the big J on it. I'm going to put some of those white roses, or one of those white roses on it, and just not messing around and making it too detailed, because that way, you know, once it's been sealed, they can put coffee or tea or plant or whatever they want. Right, there we go. I'm not going to do, I mean, I might do the start of a word, but it doesn't really matter what it really is saying. Let's just say it's saying, oh, what can we say? I mean, it's hard to kind of like work out what I'm going to be doing here. I've got this, and really we could do for what though? Any thoughts, Martin? For I quite like this font. What about if I just do that and have it coming off of there, and it could just be, we don't know what it says.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm making this up now.
I don't think we should put the words on it.
You don't?
No.
Why?
I mean, that's okay, but
But I need to put something in the little squares. Do you not think I should put words on it? Just numbers?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll put numbers on the other side as well. And we'll just get the little words and put them in the boxes. These little letters. Yeah? Okay. See, Martin and I are working in this team and we're planning it as we go right now. It's because, although I like this kind of, it's not my natural sort of, this is where I'm going with this, right? So I'm just going to flip it around. I'm going to put some numbers and maybe some words on the other side, and then we'll get to these little words on the front in the little boxes. You can tell I'm getting tired now because I'm just doing the same letters, same numbers. I'm just going to have them coming down this way here. I'm not going to put them all on. Back to the stable where the floor is all uneven. I didn't have that wobbly in the house. I must admit it's lovely being back in here, but having to do a piece of furniture in one day is quite a, I don't even know what time it is now. Matty, do you?
I'm
late.
not saying.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe I'm going to do this down here. Don't think this one needs any words on it. It's quite busy this side. All right. Yeah. Right. I'll just set up for the little words in these little apertures. Okay, so all of these steampunk words are very long and I can't fit them in here. So I'm just making it up as I go along. I managed Rivet, but it is for Dungeons and Dragons dice. So I'm going to make this one dice, maps, and I haven't thought of that yet. So I'm going to show you a really unorthodox way of putting these little stamps in here. You get a little bit of tacky spray and spray it onto your thumb. Yeah, on your thumb. And we're going to, it sticks up the letter and you're going to press it on your ink pad and you're just going to go rogue because I think that's the only way. I mean, you could draw yourself a little line if you wanted them straight, but I'm just going rogue with it now. And my E, and you just stick to your finger.
Awesome.
I worked that out the last time I did it, and I've got this little pointy finger which I think is kind of in keeping, so we'll put this one in here. We'll stick the little pointy finger, the little retro finger in there because I quite like that, and we'll do maps in here. So just, I haven't used all of these before, so I like to lay them out first. So maps, M-A, and I've used the P, and I need an S as maps. Right, so I've got it laid out on my piece of card, tacky spray on my finger. I mean, I wonder what IOD would think about this. Right, map. And where's my little thing? M. Can you hear the owl?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they'll be able to hear the owl? We've got owls in the barn. I think we already said that. Maps. Oh, I'm feeling accomplished. None of this is straight, but I'm okay with it. I'm just running with it now because it's so late at night. Well, I think, is there anything else I have to do with this? I think, oh, the transfer, yeah. I'll just gonna bougie it up there. I shouldn't try and find more things to do. I'm going to set up for the transfer. I'm going to put all my little letters because they're absolutely tiny, these little typeset letters, and they come with these little handy dandy little envelopes, but getting them back in can be quite tricky. But the good thing is, which is also a little top tip, is once you've sprayed the spray on your fingers, your finger practically picks them all up. See? I enjoyed that. When I first found that out, I thought, this is awesome. I'm not having to do anything. They just are all sticking to my fingers. So I'll pop all these away and we'll get set up for the transfer. I'm going to give it another heat with the heat tool just to be 100% sure, because I am doing this in the stable and I forget what it's like over here and things don't dry at the same rate. It feels good, but I just want to check. Okay. So I'm going to finish this off just with one flower. I don't want to saturate it with flowers. It's just so that my daughter will have it in her house. I mean, not that she's totally florally, but it's just that it kind of has to go everywhere. I mean, get this edge here first. The owls are very noisy tonight. You must think, why are they in there making so much noise? Okay. Right. In the corner we go. Just trying to get a part that I can. Yeah, there we go. Sometimes you can just get it. Sometimes you can make your own sort of natural kind of, like bubble to make it work like that. Just kind of. I quite like it when that happens. Now I'm wondering where that doesn't matter if that leaf goes down over onto here. There now. Now, I'm just going to burnish that in. Got another, I think because I've done here now, I'll just flip it back so you can see it. And just do this at the back. Over a bit, I think. It's just giving it a little bit of, just a slight bit of feminine. I had to get a flower on it somewhere. This is me trying to make a little bubble again to do what I did. If you've never used an IOD transfer before, you just cut it off the back or whatever you want to do, cut out your shape, and then you just use this little transfer stick to kind of like the old-fashioned sort of transfers where you just kind of rub it on. Then you just burnish it on like this, and that is it. Now I will, before I seal this, what's actually going to happen is I'm going to give this a quick light sand, these flowers, and then I'm going to take it over to the house. I'm going to take it over to the house and let it solidly dry in the warm tonight. Even though it's Johnny's birthday tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll get up early and I will seal it with French sheep top coat sealer, and then I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to give it another spray of spray sealer, just because there's a whole load of elements on it and we want them all nice and sprayed and solid. Then Martin and I will finish the video off tomorrow in between kids' driving lessons and Poppy's great big party. But we shall try. We shall try.
We're professionals.
It's Poppy's big birthday party tomorrow, and she's 4 and she's having all her friends and we're doing the party bags, etc. And so I have to be going to that. My twins have got driving lessons in the morning, so we will see how it all goes. Once I've got all that done, I'll try and get some of this done in between, and the video will be finished, and then I can take this over to my son-in-law because it's his birthday tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. So was this difficult? No, it wasn't. Was there a lot of problem solving? Yeah, because if you have lots of cogs and bits and pieces, put them together beside you first and try and work out where they're going to go. There was nothing hard or tricky about it. Okay, there was Martin drilled an awful lot of things to fit them in, but I mean, I could have actually drilled them, but I mean, what's the use of Martin and getting me drilling them? So it keeps them busy. So yeah, that happened, and it was just parts from old clocks. I had some tiny little cogs that I'd got off Amazon. I bought this little valve. What's this called, Martin?
Splendidness.
No, it's a gauge,
Oh,
a
gauge, yeah.
splendidness gauge. Martin's not got a microphone on, so I'm because I've lost mine at the moment, so I'm having to borrow his. So I'll have to repeat anything that he says. So yeah, I added the gauge, some clock hands, some decoupage paper. This paper will be available without the G. I'll change the whatever letter you want to our channel members who get our papers at a reduced price, and they get the ones that are the custom ones. So that'll be available to you guys. And what else is there to say about it? Nothing. It was actually really easy. I did it in about 9 hours. Yeah, maybe more than that. I don't know. It went on quite late. That's it for today. I've been Lel from Made by Marley. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a like, give us a share, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Martin, I'll repeat anything you have to say. Do you have anything to say about today?
No.
No, he doesn't. He's speechless again. We've scared him. Okay, so we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.